In this video, I'm going to teach you the exact fat loss strategy that I've used with hundreds of men around the world using carbohydrates to prime your metabolism. So my name's Adam Bono. I'm an online fat loss professional. I've worked with hundreds of men around the world, getting them to elite level shape using metabolic priming. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. And so we're going to go through exact steps of how it's done, the science of how it's done, and then I'm going to give you some actual tactical steps to take for yourself, and so you can apply this to your everyday life and your current strategy. So make sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to drop it all. So diving right into the video, what is metabolic priming? Metabolic priming is the manipulation of cellular metabolism with carbohydrates. So metabolic priming refers to a process in which the body is prepared for increased energy expenditure by making adjustments to its metabolism, and this can occur in response to various stimuli. So the positive benefits of metabolic priming within hormonal changes is like increase of adrenaline, which is the actual primary mobilization factor of body fat. You have to mobilize the body fat before you oxidize the body fat. So cortisol, reducing a lot of cortisol, reducing a lot of inflammation on the body, improves how the body can utilize cellular activity at a certain level. If your body's trying to reduce all this cortisol and inflammation over here, you won't be getting as much of a benefit from overall fat loss from a cellular activity level. And then overall growth hormone is increasing actual human growth hormone and improving cholesterol levels, like improving HDL and LDL cholesterol. So mitochondrial adaptation, the body's energy-producing organelles can increase their number, and efficiently in response, metabolic priming enhanced calorie burning, which is also increasing energy expenditure, increasing fat burning capabilities. So with metabolic priming, by preparing the body to utilize fat as a primary energy source, metabolic priming can enhance fat oxidation. So like I mentioned, fat loss comes from mobilization and oxidation of body fat. And so improving fat burning capabilities and optimizing the body for burning just fat is going to make a world of difference in your overall physique and overall body composition. And then enhanced muscle growth. And so enhanced muscle growth will lead to a higher BMR because it takes 8 calories to sustain 1 pound of muscle tissue, but 2 calories to sustain 1 pound of body fat. And so where a lot of men go wrong is they're more focused on the weight rather than the actual body composition. They'll lose a lot of muscle tissue trying to get a leaner body composition and degrade a lot of that muscle tissue in general. Like for instance, this diagram right here, 15% body fat at 180 looks tremendously different at 15% body fat at 150. And this is where most people go wrong, the difference between fat loss and actual weight loss. And so let's go into the actual science on how this is possible using carbohydrates, how to increase your metabolism using carbohydrates. And so for instance, within this diagram, you can kind of see basal metabolic rate makes up 60% of your metabolism, thermic effect of food makes up 15%, and 25% is active energy expenditure, planned and non-planned exercise. So majority of your metabolism is actually made up of just your BMR, what keeps you upright, breathing, blood flow, sleeping, organ function. And then another part of it is the actual thermic effect of how your body breaks down food and utilizes energy. And so active energy expenditure comes in 2 different quadrants. So let's break down the macronutrient carb and really see how it affects your overall metabolism. One, increasing carbohydrates leads to an increase in leptin, which is overall your satiety hormone. You're more satiated over time. And more carbs support bodily functions and physical activity. It's your body's main fuel source. It gets broken down to glucose for energy and extra stored in the liver. And so yes, you can gain fat by eating too much carbohydrate. But if you have the right amount of carbohydrates, you can enhance fat loss to an actual extreme. And let me show you why. One, it reduces leptin and hunger. It reduces inflammation. It reduces cortisol. It improves your thought capabilities and your cognition with glucose being the primary factor that runs your actual brain. And when you actually dive into carbohydrates and what they actually do, they've even done studies that show carbohydrates overfeeding produce progressive increases of carbohydrate oxidation and total energy expenditure, resulting in 75 to 85% of excess energy being stored. Alternatively, fat overfeeding leading to 90 to 95% of excess energy. What this actually is saying is that a majority of the actual food that you eat, majority of the fat that you accrue comes from fat intake, not carbohydrates. And de novo lipogenesis, they clearly stated that carbohydrate overfeeding leads to a significantly less amount of actual fat accrual. Your body wants to burn carbohydrates. It wants to burn the main fuel source that it is actually optimized for. But most people overeat on fat and they overeat on carbohydrates. The carbohydrates pad the calories, and your body actually primarily wants to store the macromolecule fat. And so let's talk about more of low carb diets and why low carb diets are terrible for your body. body. If a low carbohydrate level exists, a substance known as pyruvate begins to build up. Pyruvate is formed during the glucose metabolism, and if glucose is not present, pyruvate cannot do its job in the energy process. Therefore, fat has nowhere to attach to the body's mitochondria, which in turn slows metabolism and would halt or extremely lessen the body's fat-burning capabilities. And so all you guys out there right now watching this who have been doing low-carb diets, have been doing carnivore, and wondering why you have terrible energy, you have brain fog, your digestion is off, you're hungry all the time, you're going about it wrong. Because low-carbohydrate diets won't get you very far. There's an end of the road somewhere, because at some point you're going to run out of carbohydrates. But using carbohydrates to your advantage, you can actually increase a lot of fat-burning capabilities and enhance fat loss. So for instance, active energy expenditure is planned and non-planned exercise. And so within planned exercise, like your actual training, your running, your cardio, your body is primarily using carbohydrates. It prefers carbohydrates for performance activities. But on the other end of things, something called NEAT, which is non-energy activity thermogenesis, is non-planned exercises. And so like with improvements of carbohydrates and increasing carbohydrates in your diet, carbohydrates can indirectly affect NEAT, influencing energy levels. As the body primarily uses carbohydrates for fuel, when you consume sufficient carbs, you have more readily available energy to perform everyday activities, potentially leading to a higher level of NEAT through increased movement and fidgeting through the day. So what this is saying is psychologically, when you're eating more carbs, you have more energy. When you have more energy, you're more psychologically moving more when you're not even realizing. So on the opposite end of thing, very low carb diets may negatively affect NEAT due to potential fatigue and reduced energy levels, leading to less movement through the day. And so even going deeper into what the actual mechanism of carbohydrates actually do. So carbohydrates are directly linked to a hormone within your thyroid called T3. And so studies have shown in low carbohydrate diets that T3 can actually start to lower. But if you directly correlate reduce fat intake within the body, which is primarily what the body's going to want to store, and improve carbohydrate levels, T3 actually starts to improve as well. High carbohydrate diets are associated with higher T3 levels, while low carb diets are associated with lower T3 levels. The amount of carbohydrates you eat is a key factor in regulating T3 production. So all of my clients that I currently work with, they're not on low carb diets. Rarely do they even get under 175 grams of carbs per day. And they are all six-pack lean, shredded. They feel great. They have mental clarity, and they're able to sustain it very, very well. I mean, we have 50-year-old men getting absolutely shredded, and they're not even dropping carbohydrates. They're just eating the correct amount of carbohydrates. And so where most people go wrong is they try to cut these out of their diet. They try to cut a simple macronutrient out of their diet, which leads them to a place of lower T3 levels, higher inflammation, more brain fog, a decline in overall digestion, and you get that gut that just won't go away no matter how low you get your calories. So what we do is actually prime people's metabolisms. We align their bodies correctly to sufficiently lose body fat. And in a lot of cases, a lot of clients will lose weight eating more food. And I have over 40 client case studies and testimonials on my page that will show you how it's done and show you clients that even state, I've lost 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds eating 1,300, 1,500, 2,000 calories a day because we're directly correlating the way the body actually burns calories. And it doesn't just come to calories in versus calories out. Calories out is a very, very vague term. Calories out for most people is how much cardio and how much training can I do. They don't put into context the overall thermic effect of the food that they're eating, the overall non-energy activity thermogenesis, and how their actual BMR is acting correctly. So I'm about to show you an actual mechanistic concept of how we actually do this with our clients. So right now, this is you. You're eating very low amounts of calories, you look like crap, you feel like crap, and this is probably the third, fourth, fifth time you went to this never-ending cycle of losing weight and gaining it right back because you just cut carbs out, you cut calories, and you don't actually account for how your body's responding and how your metabolic activity is adapting over time. So this is you. You're eating 1,800 calories, you feel like crap, you look like crap, you have digestive issues, brain fog, it's hard for you to get up, it's hard for you to do anything, and you still don't like the way you look. So what we do with our clients is that, one, when clients come to us, we instantly cut their cardio. So within this metabolic priming phase, it lasts about 8 to 10 weeks. But what we're doing is we're improving the BMR, improving the thermic effect of food, and we're improving NEAT. all the actual ways that the body burns energy, not from actual energy expenditure within planned exercises like your actual cardio and your actual weight training. The first thing we do is we cut all this cardio, cut it to zero. Right now, your BMR right now, if you're listening to this, is probably shot. It's probably been 10, 15 years that you've been doing this same cycle over and over again. And over time, your body has degraded, your metabolism has degraded because you've been treating it poorly with not getting the correct nutrition in. So it has absolutely crashed. And that's the reason why you can't lose any more weight under 2,000 calories, no matter how much cardio you do. And the reason that you gain it back each time, because you're not correlating this, you're not understanding the full picture of what's actually going on with your body. And so what we do with our clients is we drop cardio to reduce inflammation and also improve adrenal fatigue. And so we start to raise these calories each week very slightly. 200 calories of carbohydrates, another 25 grams of carbohydrates the next week. And each week we are starting to raise this very slowly. And what we're doing is we're hypertargeting T3 levels, the active thyroid hormone. And over time, BMR is rising and energy is increasing as well, which is also increases non-energy activity thermogenesis. And so we're doing less, eating more, but we're using the body to burn more calories. And so over the course of time, 8 to 10 weeks, our goal is to get clients as high as possible in calories without gaining weight, without gaining a pound. And in a lot of cases, clients lose 15, 20, 30, 40. We've had clients lose even 50 pounds eating more food, up to 1,000, 2,000 calories a day, doing no cardio. And I have the case studies to prove it if you do not believe me. But using carbohydrates to our advantage to understand what carbohydrates do for your overall thyroid T3 hormone, but also energy expenditure in the form of NEAT, and even understanding the fact of lowering fat intake so we can primarily use carbohydrates, which do not store body fat scientifically as much as fat. And so we can improve the way the body's burning calories and the way the body is utilizing energy and not storing body fat. And so over the course of time, we get clients up to 3,000. We've had clients even get to 4,000 calories doing no cardio. But at the end of the metabolic priming phase, what has happened is we have raised their BMR to the absolute highest that it can get without gaining body fat. And now what we have is a high BMR, calories ranging from 3,000 to 4,000 calories to work with. And now we have structure that we can actually use to actually optimize active energy expenditure within planned exercise. And so let's go over to what would be the more normal cutting phase that most of you guys have gone through, which probably you haven't done it correctly for most of your life. But like, let's say that we have 3,000 calories now instead of 1,800 calories. And so like where you're at right now is your BMR shot, you're doing 40 minutes, 50 minutes of cardio, and you're trying to lower this food, all while this is just plateaued out. And so what we do is we increase the food, we lower the cardio, and we improve BMR. And so that way we don't have to go 18, 17, 16, 15, and now you're eating as much as a teenage girl. Instead, now we have primed the metabolism, we have reorganized the body for fat loss, we have a high BMR, and we have no cardio to work with. And so now we can go into a structured phase where we lower the food a little bit, we raise a little bit of the cardio, we lower the food again, and each week as my clients check in, we are monitoring certain KPIs within their body in a form of how are we maintaining muscle, are we improving energy still, are we maintaining hunger levels, and are we monitoring inflammation and overall fatigue levels. And we monitor their each week and change based upon those variables. To make predictable progress, you have to make decisions based upon data. And so like within this process, we slowly start to lower food and slowly start to increase cardio, monitoring this right here. So yes, over time, your BMR will start to lower in the form of just metabolic adaptation, your body adapting to what it's going through, but we monitor it. And how we monitor BMR is your inflammation. Are you maintaining muscle tissue? Is your energy high? And we give refeeds and correlated carbohydrate refeeds to keep BMR in check, to keep T3 levels high, to keep inflammation and adrenal fatigue down. And over the course of time, we are starting to lower these calories back down, raise a little bit of cardio, but we are keeping the BMR intact. Because why we do this is because we optimize all of this first. We optimize hormones, we optimize mitochondrial adaptation, we optimize energy expenditure, we improve fat burning, we enhance muscle growth. And so now the actual lowering of food, of doing more cardio, really is only an added benefit to what we've already done from a fat burning capability. And this is how we make predictable progress. And so over the course of time, we get clients down and we raise their cardio, but we keep their BMR intact. And this process in general is a repeatable process. It's a never-ending process. We have clients that have gone through our program 2, 3, even 4 times, and each time they get leaner, they get stronger, they have more definition, they're more shredded, they have more definitions within their actual abs, because like this is a repeatable process. Because as we get down in calories and as we get up in cardio, and as our BMR starts to lower, once we get to a certain point where we're no longer getting any benefit from being in deficit, we go right back into the metabolic priming phase, is where we start to prime the metabolism again, lose more body fat by eating more food, optimizing XYZ that I showed you above, and then we go right back into it. So this is a repeatable process that will not only enhance your fat burning capabilities, but it'll put you in a place where you can actually sustain it. Because if you keep your BMR intact and you understand how your BMR works, you can maintain it for longer. Imagine doing zero cardio, eating 2,600 calories, BMR being up here, being able to eat what you want, being able to have flexibility, being able to go out to eat with the wife, go on vacations, XYZ. Imagine how much more sustainable that would be than the current low-carb diet that you're actually consuming right now. Would you enjoy it better? Yes. Would you not have to restrict yourself as much? Yes. Would you be able to have more flexibility, more balance? Yes. And that's where you want to get, and that's where my clients want to get as well. And that's how they're seeing this amount of progress, because we make fat loss easy. And when fat loss is easy, it's easy to follow the plan. So if you're somebody who's been watching this in the shadows, and you've been struggling to get lean, going through the never-ending cycle of just to lose the weight, just to gain it right back, and you just can't get that last little bit of belly fat off of you, there'll be a link in the description of this video. Go ahead and click the link, apply for a time, and we'll see if it's a good fit for me and you to work together. If it is, I will write you out some high-level strategies, show you what it look like to partner up with me, and I will write you a proven plan based upon scientific evidence on how to get you to a next level physique, but also teach you how to sustain it for good. Because nobody wants to go the rest of their life not knowing what it would look like at their peak potential. So if that sounds like you and you have been struggling, sign up for a time in the description, and I will see you on the call.